reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience of The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last weekend.
Yeah, they have nothing else to talk about. Maybe you should get the lawyer that worked on that Covington Catholic school case. What was that, a $200 million settlement? I think, Charlie, you could use the money, and your students definitely.
What do you get when Charlie Kirk and Megyn Kelly join forces? Spoiler, Sunny Hostin didn't stand a chance. Imagine a no-holds-barred verbal cage match minus the leotards. In this epic ego showdown, wild opinions flew faster than conspiracy theories in a Facebook group. Megyn had the attitude, Charlie brought the storm, and Sunny, well, she mostly brought regrets. Strappin'. Because this wasn't just a takedown, it was a surgical strike. You need to see how this intellectual beatdown played out.
Disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the.
Here's the thing about Sunny Hostin, she's perfected the look of a truth crusader. While swinging a toy sword in a room full of real fighters, she walks in every day like she's defending Western civilization all by herself. But the truth, the walls she's guarding are made of cardboard, and the chaos she warns about is just a breeze of inconvenient truths. She's got the pose, sure, but not the armor.
Because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they teach. But I said this to our team. I said working people, the muscular class, including working women, they are so in favor of Trump, and they don't want to be called stupid or uneducated.
No worries, though, because the rescue squad rolled in wearing intellectual armor. Charlie Kirk and Megyn Kelly didn't need a live debate to dismantle Sunny's paper-thin persona. This duo managed to bulldoze her crumbling hot-take fortress from across the media divide. While she was busy stacking buzzwords and slogans, they were launching a two-front truth offensive. Let's break down how Sunny never saw the demolition coming.
And CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept The View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo.
Picture Sunny first, the self-declared moral guide of progressive media, marching around like someone who's never had to explain her views beyond a catchy headline. Her vibe screams, I'm right because I care a lot, which shocker isn't. The same as actually being correct. Her job, rally the base with sound bites soaked in indignation, mostly targeting conservatives. But when it comes to consistency, let's just say she's not exactly married to it.
Suit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk.
Sunny has a talent. She can switch moral outrage on and off like a dimmer, depending on who's involved. If it fits her politics, suddenly it's DEFCON 1. If not, cue the crickets. It's not journalism, it's partisan theater. She's less commentator, more contradiction and couture. Enter Charlie Kirk. Subtle he is not, but that's his superpower. He didn't need a showdown. He showed up with receipts gold, hard data that tore her storyline apart. While Sunny was tossing out generalizations, Kirk was busy exposing the double standards behind her rants. His point, her fury wasn't about principles, it was just PR.
She's specifically there referring to the women, but of course it's the non-college educated men as well who voted for Donald Trump. And the nerve of this woman to whom the country has given so much to try to dump on people who didn't go to college. Look at you. Look at your achievements. How do you like the so-called uneducated now?
He proved she overlooked extremism when it came from her own team, and only lit the outrage fire when it helped her narrative. Public records, statements, voting history, it was all there. And it didn't flatter her. Sonny's justice warrior persona, more branding exercise than ethical stance. Then came the real demolition. Charlie dropped the truth bombs, and Megyn Kelly opened the folder of facts with all the poise of a lawyer who's had enough. No yelling needed, just brutal evidence. Sonny, who's built a career yelling at conservatives about radicalism, somehow skips the fire alarm when her side's on fire. That's not justice. That's selective outrage with designer trim.
Hostin I think she went to Binghamton undergrad, and she went to Notre Dame Law School, which is a great law school. Her son right now is at Harvard. That son she wants us to think is sitting there oppressed, who she's got to fight on behalf of because America is so awful to him. They're educating him right now at Harvard University. And Jason, would you take a look at this? Because I'm going to guess, I haven't been to your house down in Tennessee, but I'm going to guess it doesn't look like this. This is Sonny Hostin's home in this shitty country that she can't stand, that doesn't treat Black people like Sonny well. She let People magazine feature her home. Look at this dump. This country sucks. She went to Notre Dame Law School. She makes millions on The View. Her son's at Harvard. I'm sure her daughter's at private school on her way to some Ivy League. This is where Sonny lives. And F off, America. I can't stand how you've kept us all in chains. That's her message.
Now here's Charlie Kirk, wielding a fire hose of facts instead of lobbing mud in a shouting contest. He didn't waste time on theatrics. He rolled out data, receipts, and actual voting records like a parade of reality. Nothing says checkmate, like documented facts walking in sync. He laid bare how Sonny's outrage changes depending on the players involved. If conservatives slip up, she's the first to rage. But when radicals pop up on her side, she disappears faster than a magician's assistant. No outrage, no soundbites, just eerie silence. It's not just bias, it's brand management. Sonny's moral outrage doesn't come from deep beliefs, it's business strategy. She's monetized emotion, selling drama by the click. Her principles, fluctuating with political profit margins. Kirk didn't rant, he conducted an audit. His takedown revealed the careful staging behind Sonny's persona. Turns out, the fury isn't real, it's a lease. And when the facts knock, the act folds.
Liberal came to speak at University of Kentucky, they'd give an open mic like I just did to a conservative and had a discussion like this.
I certainly hope they would.
No, they wouldn't. Because speech is not a left-wing value. That is why they have to deploy shock troops called Antifa to go after everywhere I go. When I go to University of California, Davis next week, there has to be 120 police officers because of the threats, the violent threats of liberals that want me dead, that want to disrupt our events. There are no right-wing hecklers that come to events like this. I think it's rather clear there's one side that is trying to do everything they can to shut one side up, and one side that's trying to open up the marketplace of ideas. And I think that's rather
Just when you think it can't get more surgical, in walks Megyn Kelly, composed, laser-focused, and armed with a binder so thick it makes law books look flimsy. She didn't come to bicker or dunk on Twitter. She came to dissect Sonny's media persona with surgical precision and the calm of someone who's seen 100 breakdowns before lunch. Kelly approached Sonny's spin tactics like a prosecutor cross-examining a slippery witness. No shouting, no drama, just facts. She exposed Sonny's talent for cherry-picking and repackaging stories with flair. That crumbles under scrutiny. Watching Kelly was like seeing a magician's trick revealed, except the magician was just hiding a coin. She didn't call Sonny a liar, she showed the pattern: big emotion, bigger errors, and truth that's always conveniently tailored. Kelly's breakdown revealed Sonny's commentary as a curated spectacle, where only facts that fit the script make the cut. It's outrage theater, staged with flair and riddled with omissions.
Hostin over at The View had some choice words for Brittany Mahomes, who's married to the other Mahomes guy who plays for the Chiefs. She had the temerity to like a Trump post online, and she's been taking shit for it ever since. She wound up posting this defensive tweet saying, God, people are like, you got to settle down. Like, go be a better person and don't jump all over people for just random stuff. And here's Sonny Hostin weighing in on it.
Since she is in an interracial marriage, she should have known that to support a racist is problematic. Her children are biracial, and her family is one of the families that in the 70s could not have lived in any of Donald Trump's buildings. So
then came the real twist, Kelly peeling back the curtain on the whole media setup. Sonny thrives in bubbles where applause is guaranteed and scrutiny is scarce. In these echo chambers, Facts get fuzzy and outrage becomes currency. The louder the performance, the less likely anyone is to question it. But Kelly didn't need to shout to dismantle that system. Her method was quiet, sharp, and precise like a hawk circling before the strike. She didn't push the house of cards down, she simply pulled out the foundation. Together, Kirk and Kelly became a precision team. His data hammer met her scalpel-like critique. What they revealed was a persona crafted from selective rage, built for optics, not integrity. Sonny's mask of moral clarity. It cracked the moment actual scrutiny entered the room. Turns out, her brand is more theater than truth, and it doesn't take much for the script to unravel.
Sunny Hostin of The View finds out that this is fantastic. She is descended from slaveholders. Here's what she said when she went out on The View.
Really reluctant to do it because I just sensed that there could be something in my family history that would be disappointing. But what I found out was that my mother's family, while they are Puerto Rican, they actually originate from Spain. And the reason that they moved to Puerto Rico is because the slave trade had been sort of canceled in Spain and then Curacao, and then they moved all of their slaves to Puerto Rico. And so the family business, I had been told that they were printers. And
so, while Sonny marches on, cloaked in self-importance and buzzwords, it's Kirk and Kelly doing the actual heavy lifting. They prove that if your career is built on outrage without backbone, it'll collapse like a sandcastle at high tide. Because in the end, it's not emotion that wins, its facts and focus. Kelly, like a legal sniper, calmly dismantled Sonny's narratives piece by piece, no yelling, no insults, just a clinical teardown. She made it painfully clear that Sonny's dramatic spins collapse when you shine a light on the facts. Kelly highlighted a pattern, one that's laughable and frustrating. Sonny's righteous fury always seems to jump ahead of reality. When it comes to justice, race, or politics, her takes are loaded with loopholes for anything inconvenient. And Kelly exposed it not as a one-off, but as a system and entire worldview built inside an echo chamber where the truth isn't required, just applause.
You're doing the next debate, Megyn. That's a step in the right direction, because honestly, you're going to ask the tough questions very firmly and fairly. More, that Univision person that was there a couple debates ago was just obviously had an agenda, and you're going to hold them accountable. And also, you have a really big audience of people of all different political backgrounds. And finally, Megyn, I think, and I don't know what you're going to ask, but I would imagine you're going to get some answers on this trans thing, which I think is a civilizational defining issue, right? That has not received any attention.
By NBC,
right?
Not a question.
Because they know it.
And then came the collapse the moment Kirk's cold facts met Kelly's sharp precision, and Sonny's image just disintegrated. She tried to be the wise arbiter, the gatekeeper of progressive morality, but under pressure, she looked more like someone desperately patching leaks in a sinking ship. What made the takedown so effective wasn't drama, it was restraint. They didn't mock her. They exposed her, quietly, thoroughly, without theatrics, just truth, contradiction, and calm analysis. They never had to meet her on air or trade sound bites. Their breakdown happened offstage, and yet it hit harder than any primetime brawl. The louder Sonny yelled about her moral high ground, the more obvious the foundation was sand. As her arguments dried up under scrutiny, it became clear some people build their personas on applause, not accuracy. And when real thinkers show up with facts, the show doesn't just stop, it unravels.
Visionist media coverage of it, Charlie. Just yet another reminder of how important the lane you and I are in has become for anybody wanting actual, honest information.
Yeah, a couple thoughts. First, that's the #1 podcast out there. And so it's not just some fringe thing. It does very, very well. It always almost near the top of the podcast charts. Number two, I just laugh when, grown men talk like 15-year-old girls with their up inflection of their voice. We don't really know if they're guilty or in. It's like, it just drives me crazy. It's like that's central casting for Upper East Side metrosexual New York Times podcast.
In the end, the whole saga reads like a warning. Airtime doesn't equal authority. Sonny Hostin may have the camera and confidence, but Kirk and Kelly showed that without truth and accountability, the volume doesn't matter. Even the loudest voice shrinks when faced with precision and fact-checking. This wasn't about a flashy debate or viral moment, it was a quiet exposure. And when your public identity is stitched together with selective anger and emotion, there's nowhere to hide once the facts show up. No stage needed, no confrontation required, just the relentless calm of reality doing its job. That's how Charlie Kirk and Megyn Kelly dismantled Sonny Hostin without even sharing a stage or trading a glance. It wasn't chaotic. It wasn't messy. It was clean, efficient, and devastating. So if you enjoyed this perfectly executed roast, give it a like before Sunny accuses the like button of being part of a shadowy right-wing conspiracy. Why?